talk about one pose that you just have to master. The contrapposto pose is when a model stands with their weight on one leg with their other leg relaxed. This pose causes the model's hips and shoulders to rest at opposite angles, giving a slight S-curve to the entire torso. This style of posing was invented by the ancient Greeks and became the pose of choice during the Renaissance. Call me a traditionalist, but I think this pose is still one of the best master poses because when done correctly, it's a very natural human stance. It also reduces hip and waist size in your model, so it's an extremely flattering pose. But it's also very easy to make your model look awkward and uncomfortable, so it's confusing to explain verbally. Unless you understand how to do it yourself, you'll always have difficulty teaching others how to do it. So start learning how to do it yourself and do it convincingly. The secret is to give your model the basics of the pose and allowing them to interpret it in their own way. This is the exact pose I asked Ricky Martin to do when I photographed him for a cover shoot. He's a dancer and I only needed to demonstrate it once and he got it straight away. Not everyone gets it the first time, so don't be afraid to demonstrate it more than once. In this image of Margot Robbie, who was in The Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio, I wanted to create a really dynamic looking portrait because she was going to be placed in a shot with several other entertainers. You can see the beautiful S-curve she has and how flattering this looks on her body. The direction I gave her was to start at contrapposto pose as a base, allow her to get comfortable in the pose and then move her upper body from right to left. And imagine there were people on either side of her. Another gorgeous Australian actress who is a master of the S pose is Kimberly Davies. We shot this series in the back lane behind my studio. Notice how the hips and shoulders are sloped in opposite directions and she brings her knee in to emphasise her hips and makes her legs appear narrower. Kimberly is still to this day one of the most beautiful women I've ever photographed. I remember when I looked at her through my viewfinder, I actually gasped because she was that stunning. This series for Australian fashion label Piper Lane shows just how versatile the S pose can be for making fashion shots look great. Great fashion models know how to create these great lines, but don't worry if you're not working with Giselle or Adriana on the latest Victoria's Secrets campaign. This pose will even make Jan from Accounts look amazing. In fact, it's my go-to pose. The basic steps for this pose are: I turn and face my body side on to camera. Point my front foot towards camera. Shift my weight to my back foot and move my back hip away from camera. Turn my upper body at the waist towards the camera. When my hips are side onto camera and my upper body is square, it creates a V shape which gives a slimming effect on the body. If I'm ever working with slightly heavier models, I might ask them to lean forward slightly at the waist, as this has an extra slimming effect. I use this basic pose as a starting pose for many of my portrait shoots, except fashion shoots which tend to be more freestyle interpretations of posing. I generally ask my male models to put hands in pockets, cross their arms, or hang them from pockets, or a variation of these. With female models, my objective is to always bend the arms and show space between the body and arms to emphasise the waist. I will pose my models like this even if I'm only doing a 3/4 or head shot, because the lines of the body in these poses are really flattering. So there you have it, the S shape or contrapposto pose.